Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Chris Reesing and I'm a bariatric surgeon in the St. Alphonsus Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery Program. Today I'm going to be teaching you about eating behaviors and skill sets that will help you be successful at achieving and maintaining your weight loss goals. This webinar is intended to teach you some of the skills you will need to be successful in your weight loss journey. These behavior changes are extremely important in helping you lose weight prior to surgery, to achieve your weight loss goals after surgery, and maintain your weight loss for the long term. They're also very helpful for non-surgical patients in achieving their weight loss goals. In order for these skills to be effective, they need to become habits for you, which requires a great deal of effort and consistency in applying them on a daily basis. Studies have shown it can take up to 6 months or even longer for new behavior changes to become habits once they are consistently applied. So let's begin. In this webinar, we're going to focus on 3 key behaviors: mindful eating, portion size control, and food journaling. Mindfulness is a form of meditation that helps you recognize and cope with your emotions and physical sensations. It has helped treat many conditions including eating disorders, depression, anxiety, and various food-related behaviors. Mindfulness can be applied to our eating habits and can help us develop new, healthier eating behaviors that can support our efforts with weight loss. So what does mindful eating really mean? Eating slowly without distraction, listening to hunger cues, eating only until you're satisfied and not full, distinguishing between actual hunger and non-hunger triggers for eating, like anxiousness, boredom, sadness, and loneliness, engaging your senses by noticing colors, smells, textures, and tastes, learning to cope with the guilt and anxiety about food, eating to maintain overall health and well-being, noticing the effects food has on your feelings, and appreciating your food. So why should we practice mindful eating? Well, in our fast-paced society, we face an abundance of food choices every day. And on top of that, distractions have shifted our attention away from the actual act of eating and onto televisions, computers, and smartphones. You know what I mean. Eating has become a mindless act, often done too quickly, and this can become problematic since it actually takes the brain up to 20 minutes to realize that you're full. If you eat too fast, the signal may not arrive until you've already eaten too much, and that's very common in binge eating. By eating mindfully, you restore your attention and slow down, making eating an intentional act instead of an automatic one. So how do we practice mindful eating? Well, by increasing our recognition of physical hunger and the sensation of fullness, we are able to distinguish between emotional and actual physical hunger. We become more aware of triggers that make us want to eat even though we are not necessarily hungry. And by knowing our triggers, we can give ourselves the time and freedom to actually choose our response. Mindful eating begins even before we eat by planning our meals, buying healthy foods. Planning, preparing, packaging our meals helps us have better control over what we eat and our portion size. When we plan ahead, we are more likely to be successful applying the techniques of mindful eating. This begins at the grocery store, what we buy to put in our pantry, shopping for the meal we're going to prepare as opposed to going to the grocery store and going up and down the aisle and picking whatever looks good. So here are some key takeaways for mindful eating. First, plan your meals ahead of time. Eat slowly and without distraction. Eat until you're satisfied, not full. Learn to distinguish between actual hunger and non-hunger triggers. Engage your senses while eating. Learn to cope with guilt and anxiety about food. Eat to maintain your overall health and well-being. Notice the effects food has on your feelings. Learn to appreciate your food. Now let's discuss our next eating behavior skill set, portion size control. Portion size control is an extension of mindful eating. It empowers you to control the quantity of calories you consume, and it's the single best way to limit your calorie and carbohydrate intake throughout the day. So what are some portion size control techniques? Well, first, use small plates and single servings, saucers instead of large dinner plates. You can even reuse the trays that come with Lean Cuisine meals. Measure your portion size with measuring cups and keep your servings small. When you go out to eat, request a to-go box when you order your meal at a restaurant and separate half of your meal as soon as it arrives. Leave food on your plate. I know this one's hard because for all our lives our parents told us we had to clean our plate. Get rid of that idea. Our next eating behavioral skill set is food journaling. Food journaling is important because it's the only way for us to accurately understand what we are eating and drinking on a daily basis. It also helps us to understand the macronutrients in our food. These are the calories, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. It serves as a visual record for us to be accountable for the food choices we make, and it also helps us to understand the emotional triggers that are linked to the food choices we make. So how do we begin food journaling? First, set up your MyFitnessPal app or other calorie tracker. You can even use a paper journal if you want to. Take the time to understand how to use the app and realize that the time you invest in the first month learning and recording and breaking down your meals will pay off and make it much easier to enter the data going forward. When you think about it, we tend to eat the same things from month to month, so building out your list of favorites on your app will make you much more efficient. Record everything you eat and be honest about it. Entering incomplete or inaccurate information is not helpful to you or your journey, and it makes it impossible for us to give you accurate advice. Enter in the quantities of food accurately. This requires you to measure your food, and you may have to buy some measuring cups at Target and a scale. Make entering in the data part of your meal. If you wait until the end of the day, the data you enter will be less accurate. The process will feel more like work, and you'll be less likely to do it and make it a habit. Now, once you've entered the data, what do you do with it? Well, first, look for patterns in the meals you eat. If you see a pattern of unnecessary calories, try making a substitution for a healthier, lower calorie choice. Our dietitians Kyle and Emily will be a great resource to you in this regard. You will want to have good, accurate data to show them at your dietitian consultation. Next, try counting how many snacks you have daily. You may be able to eliminate some of these and space your meals better so that you don't get as hungry in between meals. Try comparing your weekdays to your weekends. We all tend to exercise less self-control with our diets on our weekends or time off, and this may be an area of opportunity for you to maintain consistency. Write down notes about how you feel before and after you eat, and try to establish your emotional connection with your food. Once you start really paying attention to the details and the quality and quantity of the foods you're eating on a daily basis, and understand the macronutrients in the foods you're eating, you will naturally start looking for ways to reduce your calorie and carbohydrate consumption. And one more thing, and this one's very important. Eliminate all sugar and calorie-containing liquids from your diet. This is the single largest cause of long-term weight loss failure, and it's avoidable. Take the time to find substitutes for the liquids you drink that have calories. Congratulations on taking your next step in your journey to a healthier life. Once you begin to implement food journaling, portion size control, and mindful eating, I'm confident you'll begin to have success in the journey toward your weight loss goals. When you come in for your monthly visits, we will review your progress, discuss the success and challenges you're experiencing, and fine-tune the process. In addition, we'll set goals for the next month. And remember, none of us are perfect. What matters most is that you're making a daily decision to implement the tools that will help to change your life as you build the new you. Well, thanks again for tuning in. I hope this information has been helpful, and until next time, this is Chris Reesing and the St. Alphonsus Metabolic and Bariatric Team.